In my last video, I have discussed about the Canadian healthcare system. In this video, I'm going to talk about the human rights in Canada. Before that, let's see the current immigration updates in Canada. According to a recent report, nearly 50,000 international students, about 7% of the total international student population, did not attend studies in Canada during March and April 2024. 20,000 are from India. Experts call for tighter regulations to address systematic gaps and ensure accountability. Canada stands at a political and social crossroads following the resignation of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. However, his resignation won't directly affect the immigration process as Immigration, Refugee Citizenship of Canada is a federal government body which works independently. But in the long term, Trudeau's resignation makes a turning point in Canadian immigration policy, with potential long-term implications for newcomers, international students, and the country's global reputation as a welcoming nation. Under Trudeau's leadership, Canada set ambitious immigration targets, welcoming 450,000 newcomers annually in recent years. A 2024 Environics poll revealed a decline in Canadian support for high immigration, with many citizens expressing concerns about the pace of newcomer integration into local communities because they have to face issues such as housing affordability, healthcare strain, and infrastructure readiness while balancing the economic benefits of immigration with public concerns. Trudeau's resignation may affect Lost Canadian Bill, which is focused on extending citizenship by descent beyond the first generation. His resignation may affect the caregiver program, which has been criticized for its inefficiencies, and Trudeau government was getting ready for revisions. This process might be delayed. Trudeau's term had an expansion of temporary resident programs, including the post-graduation work program, PGWP, and open work permits for spouses. However, these programs became spoiled by reports of fraud. With Trudeau's resignation, these open work permits policies are more likely to be shut down because they have become controversial as they led to widespread abuse. As the next Prime Minister would be Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, it is expected to take more cautious approach to immigration. Even with the unstable political landscape, there are clear pathways for obtaining PR in Canada. One of the straightforward ways to improve your chances is to focus on fields with high labor demand such as healthcare and skilled work. Additionally, gaining proficiency in French can enhance the probability of getting PR provinces in Quebec and other provinces. On January 17, new pilot program announced by Ontario Immigrant Nominee program. This is part of Ontario's regional economic development through immigration program, announced which priorities and accelerates skilled immigration to fill in demand labor needs that cannot currently be met. Thunder Bay, Lanark, Leeds, and Grenville are included in this program. Express entry system prioritizes candidates with work experience in healthcare, STEM, and construction have a better chance than others. Atlantic Immigration Program. Now let's focus on AIP, which is designed to attract skilled workers to the 4 provinces of Atlantic Canada: New Brunswick, Newfoundland, and Labrador, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island. AIP is a special program because of the following benefits. Foreign skilled workers can obtain PR from faster processing times. Work permits exempt from LMIA. Candidates can legally work while processing PR. Can enjoy individualized settlement services. International students and workers already in Canada, chances of getting PR are less than 5.2%, but there is good news. The best pathway PR for 2025. Now let's jump into our subject today: human rights in Canada. In 1948, the Western nations presented the concept of human rights, and we have a question whether there were no human rights before that at all. It is very interesting to see that while the Westerners are speaking about the human rights on one hand, on the other hand, thousands and thousands are being killed in wars which were supported by the West. Therefore, modern Western war and the idea of humanity is a very interesting phenomenon. In the post-Cold War period, Western military force has been deployed in the name of protecting humanity, despite the obvious paradox of trying to achieve such protection through means that undermine this very aim. This had generated much debate about the merits of humanitarian intervention. The best example was the 15-month Israel and Palestine war. The West intervened in the name of peace, and in 467 days of this war, 46,707 people were killed, including 18,000 children. More than 100,000 people were injured. Similarly, Canada also has a stained history towards human rights. Canada has faced human rights violations in areas such as violence against indigenous peoples, violence against indigenous women and girls, including police abuse, unresolved fate of missing indigenous children. Similarly, Canada has issues of discrimination against different races. Labor discrimination percentage of black people is always higher than the white people. Youth imprisonment in Ontario, 1 out of black youths were imprisoned compared to 1 out of 70 white youths. Having said that, in the last decade, Canadian government tries its best to minimize these discriminatory actions. So let's see the positive aspects of human rights in Canada. Canada's human rights laws were created over several decades, starting with the Canadian Bill of Rights in 1960. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms was passed in 1982, protecting human rights in the written constitution. Human rights are rights inherent to all human beings, regardless of race, sex, nationality, ethnicity, language, religion, or any other status. Human rights include the right to live and liberty, freedom from slavery and torture, freedom of opinion expression, the right to work and education, and many more. Standing 5th out of 210 countries and territories, Canada was able to receive very high marks for political rights, 39 out of 40, and civil liberties, 58 out of 60, for a total score of 97 out of 100 on the Freedom in the World 2024 report. The basic human rights in Canada include: number 1, freedom of expression. In Canada, it is the right to express and share ideas, beliefs, and opinions, and to seek information. It is also the right to protest and participate in peaceful demonstrations. Why is freedom of expression important? It allows individuals to hold their governing institutions accountable. It allows to informed political debate. It allows for the creation of a just and equitable society. Number 2, freedom of religion. In Canada is the right to practice any religion or no religion at all, and to express one's religious beliefs without fear of discrimination. It is protected by the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. What does freedom of religion include? The right to choose one's religion, the right to express one's religion through worship, prayer, or religious clothing, the right to teach and spread one's religion, the right to be free of discrimination based on religion, the right to sue the government for violations of religious freedom. Number 3, freedom of association. In Canada, it's a fundamental freedom that protects the right of individuals to join together with others to form associations, pursuing other constitutional rights, bargaining and striking. The government cannot interfere with the right of workers to bargain collectively and strike. Why is freedom of association important? It allows individuals to work together to achieve common goals. It allows people to discuss matters of public policy, criticize governments, and offer their own solutions to social problems. It advances the charter goals of equality, democracy, dignity, and respect for the autonomy of the person. Number 4, right to vote. Until 1982, there was no constitutionally protected right to vote in Canada. Instead, the right to vote was provided only on white male land-owning citizens. Right to vote slowly evolved to extend to women, indigenous people, ethnic minorities, and all economic classes of people. Every citizen of Canada has the right to vote in an election of members of the House of Commons or of a legislative assembly, and to be qualified for membership therein. Number 5, the right to life, liberty, and security means that all Canadians have the right to life, liberty, and personal security. It means that the government must respect the principles of fundamental justice when it interferes with these rights. A person cannot be deprived of these rights except through fair legal procedures and based on clear, fair laws. Other rights are right to a fair trial, right to be assumed innocent until proven guilty, protection from unreasonable search or seizure, right to equal protection under the law, and right to receive services in English or French. Canadian Human Rights Commission mandate is to protect and promote human rights, your right to an accessible Canada, your right to equal pay for equal work, your right to housing, and your right to live free from harassment and discrimination is very important. In my next video, I'm going to discuss the Canadian winter and how Canadians cope with it. Please check the links in the description box.